It's the RPM Podcast, starring Eric Brennan.
Hot dogs.
Eric, no gag reflex, Brennan.
Yeah, there's a big controversy over the hot dog situation. I don't even know what to say, except
I love wieners.
I don't like buns.
Eric's straight into wieners.
I nearly peed myself.
Eric Graham.
40 races, top 4 to qualify, okay? I heard nudes. I was about to walk out. So you take every mile and a half track, and you take it on schedule. I love the chase. I think it's great. I'm an official. It's my job to act stupid.
And Josh Matthews.
I got nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what we got, folks. We got the 101st episode of the RPM Podcast. I'm sitting down here in beautiful Waretown, New Jersey, alongside the producer and the mastermind behind the RPM Podcast, Josh Matthews. Josh, how are you, sir?
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah? Well, I'm going that far. I'll buy you a drink.
Sam's going all the way. All right. Well, we talked about pulling in and pulling out earlier.
This is true, and counts for blinks and stuff like that. Hey, I'm Catholic, whatever, that's cool.
Which, by the way, I wasn't sure if you were just going to leave it parked over the line or if you were going to, when you move forward to straighten it, if you were going to hit the telephone pole.
Yeah,
It is a slightly awkward.
I gravitate towards poles, man, I'll tell you that. Between poles and corners.
Just, by the way, our coffee brought to you by Lunchbox on 9.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the Lunchbox that was in the Roseanne TV series.
What?
It wasn't that the, whatever. I don't know. Good place, though, over here on Route 9 here down in Waretown. On the big screen, not in Waretown, New Jersey, Scott Riggleman. Scott, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm just sitting here blowing off some tow calls.
Yeah.
Another thing we do, Josh, is the fuel delivery. That's the other one. Jump starts.
So what, do you carry one of your VP cans?
Yeah, exactly.
I was saying it's a joke, and it's true.
Up to the back of the truck. When we do a service call, you got to give them at least 3 gallons. So I fill it up with 3 gallons. So yeah, we do fuel delivery, jump starts, lockouts.
So there's a rule for 3 gallons?
Yeah, you have to give them at least 3 gallons. You can't just go out and give them a gallon. You got to give them at least 3.
3 pumps.
But wait, so where does that rule come from? Is that like a state law? Is that a
You know what? Every roadside service company I have ever worked for, that's just the written rule. I don't know where it comes from.
Oh wow!
But
I wasn't sure if there was like a mandate.
At least 3. You know, it was crazy. Just so the listeners know, I own a towing business. I've been in business for about 14 years.
The logo is probably in one of the corners. Right?
Ow! Yeah. Get off!
But, you guys remember when gas was real high, like over $5 a gallon?
It's still
these
freaking
people
high.
had these roadside services, and they were allowed 2 fuel deliveries. So there was times I was delivering fuel to people's houses just because they wanted the 3 gallons of gas. You know, it was part of their deal. You know.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
It's one way to do it, or just call Joe for oil.
Yeah.
Anyway, so notably absent tonight.
E. Brennan.
Yeah.
The Staten Island's own Eric Brennan. I don't know what he's doing, but he's probably listening to the show. Thanks for listening to the show, Eric Brennan.
I heard he had like some medical stuff going on.
I'm not going to go that far.
I've got the clap and I'm giving it to you. I've got the clap and I'm giving it to you.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. Get it off. Anyway, I don't know how to segue into this, but the NASCAR guys are racing in Michigan. Who doesn't have the clap is Clint Boyer. There you go. At least not that I know yet. He might have. I heard he had a pretty wild night after the rain-shortened Monster Energy Cup Series race over at Michigan. Michigan was a pretty wet weekend between that and the Xfinity race for there. I didn't watch the race because I was in another country. Did any of you guys happen to watch the NASCAR race?
I
races?
Was watching some of it with the rain delay, fell asleep, and but it really wasn't that bad. I don't think. I think it was far better than the Indycar race. I was all excited for Texas.
Yes.
By the way, we're going to get into that later, but the NASCAR race wasn't too bad. Clint Boyer had a nice post about woke up hungover.
Yeah.
Things were a mess or whatever. So I dreamt that we won, so it means that we did win. Do you know where he went to celebrate?
You know, I always say this on the show. If you want to entertain your Twitter account, you need to follow the President of the United States, Donald Trump, because you got a good laugh out of that. And then right after that, you should be following Clint Boyer, because that is some funny crap he talks about on his Twitter.
It is.
He turned around and he says something along the lines of, like, man, I think I drink more of Kevin Harvick's sponsor than he does.
Oh, my God.
Kind of insinuating, hey, Bush, why are you not sponsoring me?
Yeah.
But he was a very
Did you see
happy
that
guy.
video that Delaney Harvick put up of Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick playing golf?
No.
No.
You didn't see that? Clint Boyer teed the ball up for Kevin Harvick, but it was one of those balls that when you hit golf balls, when you hit it, it explodes.
Oh, God.
I love those.
So they showed Kevin Harvick taking a swing and hitting a golf ball, and the golf ball exploded. And then she zooms the camera over on Clint Boyer. He's literally on the ground rolling around laughing.
I love Clint Boyer.
I think
Despite
he
the
is-
whole elbow itchy thing at Richmond a few years ago,
Yes.
you know, I think Clint, I know you listen to the show. A lot of people don't like you, like our own Nick Rendo. He's not a big fan. But
Really?
I
oh, Nick Renner doesn't like
because he's a
fun.
Jeff Gordon fan. Well, you got to remember that was that night that the whole thing happened, and Jeff Gordon all of a sudden got in or was out, whatever it was. I
Yeah,
don't know.
But I mean, I think it's more that he's all about that. That's the same reason he doesn't like Kimi Räikkönen. Even though Kimi Räikkönen is incredibly entertaining, he's like, no, it's not professional. You have to wear a red suit and
Right.
be on. You're
Right.
not allowed to have fun unless you're Hamilton and you braid your hair and wear
Nose
a
piercings.
suit like the Riddler or something.
Hey, you want to know what? Lewis Hamilton's a personality, but we'll get more into that later in the show.
So did Clint Boyer get burgers or pancakes?
Oh, at IHOP? Yeah, I don't know what the
IHOB.
Yeah, what is going on with that? I saw a lot on Facebook. I saw like Pancake King and IHOP is International House
I don't
of
know,
Burgers.
but we talk about people follow on Twitter. Add Wendy's to that list,
Yes.
man. They got some funny crap. And before you get off of Twitter, make sure you follow us at the RPM Podcast _.
Well, we're gonna change it to iHor.
Yeah, the International House of Racing.
Yeah, it's not.
What
the-
about iHum, the International House of Motorsports?
That's
I mean, it's not like I'm not going to go there
Sam-
because this is a podcast.
Sam wants to get Hummers.
and this is
through...
a family podcast. Tim Riggleman and his daughters listen to the show. Hi
Yes.
guys.
We gotta get Tim back. Well, if we knew Eric was gonna blow us off,
Yeah, we would have had some quality guests on.
yes.
Ted Groh.
And I
Try to
didn't
get Tim
know.
next Tuesday. We'll try to get Tim next Tuesday. He's actually spotting the tour race Thursday, which got postponed. If people are listening, the race was supposed to be tomorrow night, and it actually got postponed Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, no, we'll work on that. Get him down. Sam hopefully will be back. And then maybe Nick Rendo will make an appearance. I don't know.
Yeah, Nick had a family get together.
I'll get a bowl of
Tonight.
nuts out.
Yes. Speaking of nuts,
Cashews.
you know what? We're going to go into banter because I enjoy banter on a podcast. Dunkin' Donuts, I don't know when, they brought back the pistachio-flavored coffee.
Wait, what? What?
Oh, my goodness. It's a potty in my mouth.
A potty?
A potty in my mouth. It is a fantastic pistachio-flavored coffee. Yeah, I get it. You don't need sugar in it. I know you like the whole diabetes thing, Josh.
No. My coffee gets a little sugar. No,
I like it dark. The coffee.
Sam's making fun of me because I got a delicious sandwich tonight.
Folks, it clogged my artery just watching him eat that sandwich.
It was a half a sub
Yeah.
for one, and it was cheesesteak with chicken fingers, mozzarella sticks, French fries, and for good measure, he threw a pork roll and corn nuggets.
You
on
should
there.
you should have tweeted that to IHOB and told them, hey, step up your sandwich game so they could be IHOs. IHOs. I keep going with this, but I'm not going to. Stuart Haas had a strong showing at Michigan, finishing the top three carts, 14-4 and the 41. Kyle Busch fourth, and
Now,
Paul Menard ran
Gibbs
the top five.
did not have the best start,
Right.
which will lead into something else. But
Where we-
what initially happened with it was Kyle Busch, and I'm so tired. My brain is fried. Who had to start at the rear?
Oh, give me a second. I wasn't ready for this.
Scott knows who had to start at the rear.
I know it was 3 of the Gibbs cars, but I don't know which 3.
Okay. Well, I know Kyle Busch was one of them, and in like 8 laps or whatever, he made it up to the top 10 or something. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
They were trying to give Kyle Busch like a $10,000 bonus like they would do in a short track. They did that to me when I was racing the Arch Truck down at Langley one time. They offered me like an extra $200 if I started in the rear and won. And I actually took the challenge. I said, why not? It was a 50-lap race. I started last and I won. So that was pretty cool. They were trying to get $10,000 up for if Kyle Busch could win from the rear.
Wow. You're still working on that, Sam?
Yeah, I still can't find it. I will tie it into this, though, that 3 of the Joe Gibbs racing cars received L1 level penalties today as of 5:15. It is 10 o'clock on Tuesday, June 12th. The splitters of the cars, the front splitter of the cars, were all deemed not safe for racing.
Not safe?
I think they were cheating and they got
Were
caught.
they going to decapitate someone like Lamar?
Hey, if you could slice a piece of cheese, I don't think it's sharp enough. You know what I'm saying? Trying to find more of this information, but I'm a crappy host tonight and I can't find it. So I'll get back to y'all on that.
You do that.
Anyway, moving on. The trucks were racing in Texas Friday night. Johnny Sauter managed to win yet again, and somewhat local, Stuart Friesen finished second, and he also won the pole for Friday night race. I don't know if any of you guys saw the truck race.
They're teammates too, right? They're both Gallagher Motorsports trucks.
I think so. I don't think. Well, I know Johnny Sauter races for GMS. I don't know if Stuart Friesen. I thought Stuart Friesen raced for himself, and he does.
Nah,
he does.
It's called Friesen Halmar Racing or whatever, but they're based out of Gallagher Motorsports race shop.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
if that's the case, then they're right around the corner from my school down in North Carolina.
Hey, I saw Derek Cope had some issues. I believe it was at Pocono with the Scott's beloved Starcom team.
They had issues.
Yeah, he pulled down and off the track. That was his day ended early. Vague little tidbit I just wanted to throw in there.
They had two cars at Michigan too. Did you see the second car, the 99, had like a quick loop sponsor on? The car looked pretty cool. They had Garrett Smithley driving it. Unfortunately, they had transmission problems early and had to pull off. But you know what? They're bringing two cars to the track, and they're getting better. They really are.
If they make it and they make it into the race, even if they don't finish that well, they still get
Right.
I mean, there's a reason starting park cars were a thing at all, so they get some money back.
Rob Kaufman may not like it, but who cares what Rob Kaufman thinks? No one here on the RPM podcast
That's
does.
the thing, though. Starcom's not starting parking. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? They're staying out there as long as they can. And unfortunately, this time they had a transmission blow off on them.
Yeah, it happens.
What do you guys think about the trucks racing with the Indy cars? I don't see a good match there. I don't see
No.
much crossover between the fans.
No.
It's kind of crazy that they do it.
The trucks raced Friday night at Texas, and the Indy cars were there Saturday night.
Right.
I would appreciate it. I mean, that to me,
I would too.
to me
I would
that'd be
love
a
to go
badass
on
weekend.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're trying to cross demographics, and here's the thing:
crossbreeding.
I'm all for the, trying to get more people into it because here's the thing: if they're race fans, and here's the thing, even Nick Rendo, fine, he did drag racing, he's all about Formula One,
Right.
He would probably still enjoy an IndyCar race.
Right.
Like, okay, great, it's not Ferrari. He'll get over it and he'll enjoy the race. And if you said, hey, you know what? If we get a room for the night and don't touch each other, there's another race tomorrow.
Right.
And he might, he'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, look, he came out to when we did the live show from Motorsports, and
He did.
He took that track with me, and we were just going to run some go karts there until somebody broke the barrier and flooded the track. But I mean,
Thanks, Obama.
I think a lot of people would probably just stay to hang out, and because the truck series, it's the tickets are cheaper, so it's more affordable for everybody. I think it's a cool idea. I understand that there's not going to be, a tremendous crowd. It may not work incredibly well, but I think it's worth a shot.
Right.
I don't know. I would like to go do that. And then, but here's the thing: if you also made the drivers as accessible as IndyCar does.
Yes, I think that's where NASCAR obviously lacks, and I think that's pretty obvious.
Well, I see that, and whereas NHRA is very similar. You go especially when we would go to like Englishtown. Like now, I didn't go for the Summer Nationals, but I would go for a lot of the thrill shows and things like that. And you could walk around and meet. Like I remember they had. I got to see a race with it was Shirley Muldowney versus Don Gartlitz. It was a show race,
Right?
Right.
But it was still top. Flames.
Don't they call them like grudge races or something in drag races?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it was purely for entertainment purposes, and
Is that you or me?
that's no one.
Oh, Bob Saget. Hello. There you go.
So, I mean, you still had
So you think it
flames.
was totally staged when you go and see Don Gartlitz race Shirley Muldowney, or do you think they actually race?
I think they actually raced. I mean, you still had flames 5 foot out of the headers. I mean, it wasn't like they were
Yeah.
taking pickup trucks down the freaking thing.
Right, right.
I mean, they were real fire breathing things. But I mean, they were racing. I don't think that they were
Well, we talked about in the show in years past with F1 with the whole team order stuff. I mean, is that really racing? You know?
No, that wouldn't. But this was also so people could see, especially fans that were there maybe to see the monster trucks.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
They could see, hey, here's some Top Fuel dragsters just
Right.
to show you what it's like. So come on out to the next,
Right.
You're just adding stuff in. I mean, I still love jet cars. It's not the same mechanic porn that Eric Graham thinks that it is, with where it's just about all this horsepower. It's a jet engine. It's a completely different type of motor. It is still really freaking cool to see a jet engine strapped to a rail go flying
Right.
down. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's like, why would you do this? But it is so entertaining.
Right.
Which actually, I'm going to go off on a quick tangent. It was supposed to be last Saturday, but it ended up being last Wednesday due to the weather that we didn't get. Everybody postponed everything. We even canceled a camping trip. I went out to Atco Dragway.
Yes, you did.
And so I took the wife and the kid, and we got there. First thing, boom, monster truck ride. $5 a person. That's pretty damn affordable. You get like a minute or so. You climb in the back of a monster truck. They drive you around, do some donuts or whatever, and it's fun. And my kid loved it, absolutely loved it. Then we go up to the stands. We got some food. They had the Hell on Wheels bike guys, which I want to say, was it Chris Gall or was it Neil that got involved with them at one point? Or actually, it might have been.
I don't think it was Chris, but I could be wrong.
I think was it French?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was French.
Yeah.
Our friend Robert French, which is why we can see Scott.
Exactly. Thank you again, Robert French. He got involved with the Hell on Wheels guys before.
Yes.
He wasn't at this, but he's been involved.
Right.
And so they'd come out and on the drag strip do a little show.
They
during
were
some
at
of the
Wall, I think,
downtime.
a year or two ago.
Yeah, it's fun,
Right.
and everybody gets to.
But I think doing something like that with the cross of the events, the crossing of the events and stuff. I mean, I think if anything, NASCAR benefits from the trucks sharing the weekend with IndyCar. My personal opinion, because I think there's more of a following when it comes to the IndyCar stuff than it is for the truck series.
I think your diehards are going to be more with.
To me, that sounds like a perfect weekend. I mean,
well,
obviously,
let's say if you were going to go out there because you're following NASCAR and you want to see the truck race,
Right.
would you consider going out a day early to watch IndyCar? I would.
freak yeah.
I think a lot of people now. Friday nights are usually a little bit tougher, because by the time you get out of work and get wherever you're going.
Because some people have real jobs.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get to sit around on their phone for four out of the 8 hours while somebody else pulls a cable.
Note to our listeners, that was a dig to Eric Brennan.
Don't call it out. Let them figure it out.
I mean, I just put lettuce in sandwiches, so I mean,
Do you put vinegar on?
Or
it?
in
I
tubs.
do.
Yeah,
Or in
yes.
tubs.
Sub in a tub.
Or on people if they ask for it. I have not been asked that though.
Are you into Tub Girl?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I am not. I am not. Anyway, gonna try.
That's your search for the
save
day,
myself.
ladies and gentlemen.
I'm
Tub
going to
Girl.
use the truck race real quick. Austin Dillon won the rain shortened Xfinity race. The results go on NASCAR.com. Go check it out. It wasn't that special.
Did he do a stupid slide in the grass or no?
I don't know. Man, I'm lacking. But Paul Menard finished 5th again in the Xfinity.
Yeah, he ran good. He
Yeah.
ran real good that whole race. He ran
Yeah,
good.
I'll tell you what. Paul Menard is, I think, is the surprise underdog. I don't think anyone expected him to run as well as he did in that 21.
But does anybody want him to run that well? Is the question, because I get a vibe, at least among
he seems pretty chill. I don't think he has people that hate him.
I get the impression that a lot of people actually, at least that I speak to, are like, yeah, screw that guy,
I think a lot of people like the vibe that Brian Blaney had with the Wood brothers. I think that was a cool combo.
Yeah.
Young, clean-cut kid, talented, racing for a respected, long-lasting, one of the first founding teams of NASCAR. Now you have Paul Menard, who has daddy's money and who's still in the sport because of that. But now, I mean, I to me, it's not a bad idea. I think the teams actually match better with Penske and Blaney and now Menard with the Wood brothers. That's just my opinion on it, though.
It doesn't bother me that Paul Menard's racing with Daddy's money, because Daddy does spend a lot of money in racing. Thank God he does. I mean, he keeps a lot of the divisions sponsored, and cars. I mean, he sponsors Truck Series,
Right.
Matt Crafton in the Truck Series. He does a lot of sponsorship with ARCA. He sponsors in Cup when they go sometimes Paul races in the Xfinity Series. They sponsor there.
Right.
Good, let the money flow. You know.
And Menard sponsors a lot of the Indy cars too, and a lot of
Yeah.
other motorsports, ARCA and stuff like that. I mean, so you really
I've never
can't.
been in a Menards. I've never even seen a Menards. You know. And they're
I
not
don't
around
think
in
it's a
my area.
Jersey thing.
You got to save big money at Menards. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Save
Are they in
big-
North Carolina, Sam, or not?
I have not seen one. Not saying that they don't exist in North Carolina.
They're
but
Midwest, right? They're out Midwest.
Probably,
you know?
yeah.
Now the thing is, generally, like I like one of my big dislikes about the ARCA series is that it's very much it's not a ladder series. It's a pay to play series. So, I mean, Joe Schmo, who always wanted to race cars or whatever, but had some money and could afford to rent a ride, basically. But at the same time, Scott made a good point, and they're still putting money into racing, even if they suck, like Oriole Servia.
Man, that's a name I haven't heard in a quick second.
I, I never thought that he did that well, but I'm gonna get into that real quick. Did you see the video of that?
I have.
For the folks at home, Oriole Servia, former kart series, IndyCar series driver, was the pace car driver for the IndyCar race. Where was that?
Was it?
Toronto? No, it was a street course.
Yeah, wasn't it California? Give me a second.
And on the pace lap, well, now they were trying to make an excuse that he maybe wasn't expecting the ride along car to come up as quick as it did, or something like that. Because they do have a 2-seater Indy car that rides around the track, kind of following the field. Yeah, it's just a thing, lucky winner or whatever. And
So you're saying he wrecked the race car?
no.
I thought it was a GM, big
It was a
wig.
Corvette.
Yes. Yeah.
They wrecked the pace car.
It was the pace car he wrecked.
Yeah, but the thing is, they were saying that maybe Oriole wasn't expecting to come up on the 2-seater.
I thought
But
it
the
was
thing is, he just was coming around the corner. I don't think he even saw it and spun on his own.
I didn't think he was driving the pace car.
Oriole was.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was a GM.
Scott, what job are you
executive
turning down right now? I hear it honking.
It's the same one. This guy's still waiting to get his tires changed.
Those damn
He
BMW
could have done
drivers.
it by himself by now.
But he's a BMW driver. What do
Oh,
you
yeah,
expect?
man. Yeah. Hey, yo.
Yeah, I don't think he was, Josh. It says here that General Motors Exclusive Vice President Mark Reyes wrecked the Corvette pace car that was driving the parade lap of the Detroit Grand Prix. They were in Detroit. I don't know. I do like the meme that came out recently about it when the Corvette was in the wall, and then right behind it, it has the big Chevy thing, and it says Finding New Roads.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find some new roads in the wall. I mean, it's funny. I can't tell you how many people sent me that video on my social media because
Really?
it was a Corvette, and obviously for you listeners who don't know, I own a Corvette. And the fact that it was an IndyCar race, and I like IndyCar, but that made me cry. I mean, those are beautiful race cars, beautiful cars, and they just wreck it. So
Yeah.
it is
the
what it is.
the strobe lights were still working.
That's right.
After the wreck.
That's right. I mean, it just shows you how reliable those wheeling lights are, man.
Yes.
Hey, Josh, that's what I want to tell you, too. Up at Big Diamond Speedway Friday when I was up there racing, some of the street stock guys have strobe lights on their cars when they're racing. It's pretty cool up there.
Wait, what kind of lights?
Like, they have, just, kind of like the lights that the kids put on their cars now, like underneath the cars, But
Like the ground, like the glowing. Neon
yeah.
stuff. Honestly, if you watch like the continent or like the IMSA stuff, and
Right.
you can kind of tell some of the cars because they will have different colored lights and such, and I think that's actually kind of cool.
This guy
especially
really
at night.
needs someone to change his tire.
It's funny. I forget who it was. There was a factory stock driver who always comes during the Turkey Derby. Was it a factory stock driver or a 4-cylinder driver? And he always has like a bright, like pink neon light inside his race car, and we always had to tell him to take it out of the car. I don't know why they do that, but I mean, I guess.
Why do you not like it?
Well, I don't think it's allowed. First off, at wall. To me, I don't know. It's just distracting. It looks like you're in a freaking strip club and you're driving a race car.
I want to put a brake light on my car, just to mess with whoever's behind me.
Well, that's why they don't let you put brake lights on the car. 'Cause
Exactly.
People would rig it up where the brake light would be coming on. You're not even on the brakes,
I would go for just a red strobe like an F1, and then we could run in the fog.
I always wanted to put a horn on my car, just so when I'm pulling down on the truck, I can beep the horn. I
Hook
think
that
the kids
damn
would
app
like
up
that.
that's blowing up your phone right now. Look it out of your way.
Yeah.
um,
I think it'd be cool when you're driving around the pits. People always walk in front of you, beep the horn. I thought it'd
I'd be
pretty
getting beeped
cool.
out a lot.
especially back when the factory stock still had mufflers, and they did.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't care unless you're modified. They don't get out of the way. You have to. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm just complaining.
Well,
Anyway, let's move along.
You want to go to an F1 or an open wheel?
Uh,
Because we talked about IndyCar.
yeah.
But
Well,
IndyCar, where did Will Power finish? Where did Marco Andretti finish?
Alrighty, give me a second here. I have it pulled up, but I lost it. Scott Dixon won the race.
Yeah.
He moved into, or he controls now solidly the third place for the all-time win list. I can speak today, which is good. I like seeing Scott Dixon win. I mean, I think his career spans almost like 18 years with IndyCar.
Wow.
I mean, I think that's just pretty damn awesome. He's one of the nice guys. Like I said, I enjoy seeing. Boop 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 boop. We're gonna pull it up here in 2 seconds. I thought I had it pulled up here, but I lost it.
Here you go, pulling up out in.
This is awkward. Anyway, we're gonna talk into it. IndyCar introduced a new package, aero package. Did you see the race, Scott?
It sucked.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
no.
was at Wall Stadium racing.
Josh is not lying. I think the new package pretty much killed Texas, which has been probably the best IndyCar race all year.
Normally, Texas is amazing. Whatever they did with that aero package, the cars were back off on their own. There wasn't side by side. I'm sure Eric thought it was a 9 out of a 10 because he wanted to play with his. Never mind. I'm not even gonna go there. But he, I don't know. He probably thought it was great. It probably like, ooh, I wonder what the fuel mileage is gonna be. It wasn't good tight racing where they're.
Right. Marco Andretti finished 14th. And who was the other one you asked, Scott?
Will Power.
Will Power. I think Will Power got wrecked. Yeah, Will Power
Really?
got wrecked.
He was out early.
Yeah, he was out early. He finished 18th. So that was not a good start after his Indy 500 victory.
I'll take 18.
Tony Kanaan. Where did Tony Kanaan finish?
Tony Kanaan finished 21st. I believe he
Oh,
got
Jesus.
wrecked too. It's funny on the official IndyCar website for the results, they have the running or whatever, and there's running, and then when they wreck, it just says contact. So
Right.
out of respect, like for example, for like F1, Max Verstappen, you could be like contact. Well, did he hit the wall? Did he hit somebody else? I mean, IndyCar it's the same way. And then you have words just like fire. I think NASCAR started doing that. When Danica Patrick always wrecked, you just put Danica. And be like, oh, yeah, we understand what happened.
I always thought it was weird that Indy never posted. NASCAR doesn't do it anymore, but Indy never posted the purse money either. You never knew what they won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think NASCAR got more quieter with that.
Right.
Since
They
the years
stopped
been going
announcing it, too.
on. Right. And I think that's because of the lack of purse money, maybe? I don't know.
Not getting enough from Monster.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. I don't think the money's in racing. Well, no, the money's still in racing. It's just not moving around as freely as it was 10 years ago.
It would seem that way,
Right.
or it's going into other places that didn't exist at the time. I mean,
Social media.
There's that. But I was going to say a lot of things that when they were coming out, like let's go back to like when they came out with what was it, the Superbird, and the different cars and when they were working on just tweaking what they could, and they were still running basically DOT tires. And I mean, you're watching these NASCAR guys change tires with a tire iron before pit guns.
Right.
Now you have this R&D,
Right.
these wind tunnel.
It's almost like the
tests.
advancements, it takes like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Well, so much money goes into the computer end of it.
Right.
I mean, and I think there's still brand loyalty
Right.
among everything, but they're not reaching the same market, and it's not flowing like it used to, but it's
Yeah.
also flowing to different directions.
Well, it doesn't help either. Like, for Texas, I think it's pretty awesome, and Eric Bryan's not on the show to defend it, so I'm going to say it, that the Indy 500 is normally the worst race of the year when it comes to the overall product. Like this past Indy 500 that we talked about, I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago on the show, it was not a good race. And the IndyCar is smart, and they back it up with Texas, as of late, as with Texas one of the best races all year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't this time around.
Exactly.
It was god awful.
It was like Iowa.
Right.
And as your cousin would say, cars were going around in a circle.
Right. And I think we said on the show, why the hell is IndyCar racing in Iowa? But that's besides the point.
They use that corn-based,
that's
ethanol.
right.
So
Pinkies
they go
up,
out to
Rusty
Iowa
Wallace,
with the corn.
IndyCar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, we move on. IndyCar really wasn't that important. I'm sorry, Scott. Go ahead. No? Okay. I thought I thought I heard you, Scott. Moving on to open wheel. Formula One was racing in Montreal, Quebec this past weekend. That was
Did you say Quebec?
Montreal, Quebec,
Quebec.
Quebec,
Quebec.
Quebec.
I'm going to send
Alex
you
Trebek. Anyway, it's past my
I'm going
bedtime,
to send
folks.
you to Medicine Hat.
Anyway, the only race weekend activities that I saw was in Montreal because I was fortunate enough to go hang out with my boy Nick Rendo at Montreal for the race weekend. My first ever Formula One race. It was an overall decent race for Canada. Nick Rendo's not here to defend himself either, so I'm going to start crapping on it. The race was adequate. The racing was not towards the front. It was towards the back. However, Saturday was freaking amazing. I think there was more – qualifying was more tense for 40 minutes than the whole race was for an hour and a half. You had Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari battling out to try to get the front spots, and they end up pretty much, every other one getting the different positions, which was pretty cool. Sebastian Vettel ended up getting the pole, and I believe the Grand Slam over the weekend with the pole, fastest lap, and the race win. Overall, didn't really miss much, but it was a cool experience nonetheless. Red Bull, they had a cool graphic. I know, if you guys, for our Formula One listeners, they had a cool graphic on showing the difference between the Red Bull, how the Red Bull handles compared to the Ferrari. And the Red Bull is really great towards the turns. And for those who don't know, Canada is a very fast-paced, engine-dependent track.
Right.
And that's where Ferrari makes a difference up. And Mercedes is the power on the long straights. But that Red Bull, Red Bull's coming back strong this season. I don't think they're going to have a chance at the championship. I think it's clearly between Mercedes and Ferrari. But next year, maybe something better, having 3 teams fight for the championship.
Where did my Haas boys end up?
So Grosjean actually didn't make it on the qualifying grid. His car blew up.
Oh, Jesus.
His car,
America.
He came up on the grid, and then you couldn't see the car anymore on the grid. It was that bad.
That was his smoke screen. He just used it too early.
Right. But I'll tell you what, though, there was a really bad wreck with hometown hero Lance Stroll and a Williams that took him out in the first lap. And because of that, our boy Grosjean picked up 4 spots within the first few turns, which was pretty cool to see. Grosjean had a messed up pit strategy. And
Wait, I thought you said Grosjean blew up.
for qualifying.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry. He started in the back. He made his way through. He actually was running top 10 all day, but then he had to pit because you have to change compounds in Formula One when you race. I feel really smart talking about this because I feel like I learned something this weekend.
Nick Rendo's going to take credit for it.
Yeah, I know. Grosjean ended up finishing 12th, which was a solid day considering he was pretty much back in the pack all day.
Where did Magnussen end up?
Madison ended up 13th behind him.
Ah.
And they were pretty much running subpar to one another. Fernando Alonso actually had his 300th career start and end up breaking.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because,
So
McLaren.
So in your mind, what is Haas's problem / what is their solution?
I think it's the same thing. I think Ferrari. I think I think Ferrari is a problem because they get their engines and their power plants from Ferrari, and Ferrari is having a hard time keeping up with Mercedes anyway. They're not going to give Haas their good crap. They're going to give them the second-hand, hand-me-down stuff.
But do you think even their lesser is going to be that much farther back, or do you think Haas has other issues? Do you think there's
a lot of people would say the drivers. I'm not a big Kevin Magnussen fan, but I do like Grosjean. I think Grosjean's a very talented race car driver. Are there better race car drivers out there? Yes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Nick Rendo and I both agree that Charles Leclerc is probably a great fit in any team better than where he's at right now.
Now, Grosjean has a lot of people that dislike him because he's
Correct.
made. Now, here's the thing.
He is the Jordan Taylor of Formula One, I think. He has a personality. He's funny. It's a good time.
I think it's been an issue of he has some talent, but then
Right.
he makes a couple questionable moves here and there.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Maybe that was a dumb move or whatever. But I mean, you get the same with Verstappen, except Verstappen either gets luckier or is capitalized.
Right.
Or I don't. I think for me, my answer would be the solution for Haas is going to be money. As dumb as
Oh,
it
yeah.
is, that's
No,
what it
yes.
is in F1.
Right.
It's like the Yankees. They get the most money from merchandise, so they can buy
Right.
the best players.
But look at Red Bull. They know they don't have a good power plant compared to, with Aston Martin and them. So what they do is instead they bring a really good handling race car, and tracks like Monaco and stuff, you see the Red Bulls dominate. I mean, Max Verstappen
look how
finished
excited
P3rd.
Scott is with this.
Yeah. But anyway, it was a great
I'm listening.
it was a great overall weekend. If you've never been to a Formula One race, I highly recommend it. You dress up like you're going to church for a race. There's all these pretty women walking around. I guess the guys are pretty too, but I don't go that way. And it was relatively cheap compared to a NASCAR race.
That's surprising. Do you know what the price would compare to, like, if you went to Austin instead?
No. I mean,
Okay.
it'd be a plane ticket. I would not drive all the way out to Austin.
How much was gas up in Canada? Was gas expensive?
I don't know. I don't know. If any of our listeners know, I have no idea how they sell the gas up there, Scott. It was 130. It was 138.47, whatever the hell that means. I don't think they're paying $138 per gallon. I don't know if it's per liter. I don't know what's going on.
Did you stop and get gas when you were in Canada?
No, I actually stopped right before we left, and then, believe it or not, you can only go to the track through the train. So Nick Rendo and I had a hotel. We drove to the parking lot, and then we just hopped on the metro, and that's how we got from track to the hotel.
Oh,
Wait,
really?
Yeah, it was really nice.
You
Really
just said
nice.
Nick Rendo and Metro in the same.
Oops. Oops. Anyway, so it was a great event. Heineken sponsored the race weekend, and there was a lot
Did
of
you
Heineken
enjoy
being consumed.
any Heineken?
I do not enjoy Heineken.
Did you try one at least?
I just tried one actually tonight at dinner for the first time. I had ginger ale, and I had a Canada Dry and Captain Morgan Spice. Highly recommend. That's Sam Ballard's favorite drink. If you want to be an old man and enjoy a nice drink. There's actually a casino in the middle of the racetrack. So Nick Rendo and I, we had a few drinks at the casino. Because the drinking age is 18 in Canada and not.
So everybody gets dressed up when they go to the racetrack at Formula One?
Yes.
Well, Nick Rendo
Really?
was.
Yes. And if you're not in team attire, you're pretty much dressed very nice. I wore khakis to the track.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Nice
Now, was there
khakis?
anything
Nice
else
khakis.
racing in the course of the weekend? or
They
was
had
it
the
just
Ferrari
Formula
challenge. They had a few other stuff going on that I don't remember. They do that. It's like a filler to it. They did a really good job. The Ferrari challenge is really big.
They need a celebrity race.
I agree.
One?
I agree.
I'm a big fan of that. What is Nancy
Oh, me too.
watching?
I mean, that kid from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I mean, I'm sure he's looking to make a
Oh,
comeback.
Carlton. He actually raced the WK. I know
yeah.
I say that all the time on the show.
I'm still wondering what Nancy's watching in the other room. I can see
have no
the
idea.
flat that through the doorway it lighting up.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Sebastian Vettel won the race. He broke Ferrari's 14-year winless streak at Canada. And then Bottas and Verstappen finished out the podium, with Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton finishing fifth. Lewis Hamilton has won 6 out of the last 7, I believe, Canada races. So this was a pretty bad showing on his end,
Right.
especially not even making a podium. But that car was not up to standards, and Kimi Räikkönen finishing out the top 6, as I spoke about earlier. The access was very similar to Indycar. They opened the track up as soon as all the cars hit the pits, and we rushed to the podium. Nick Rendo and I hauled ass from turn 1 all the way to the podium to see the podium interviews, see him shower champagne. It was a really cool event. Nico Rosberg walked past us, the 2016 F1 World Champion. We talked about it on the show.
Did you shake hands with, get an autograph from anybody? Just
No.
no,
No.
I mean, could you have or?
Yes, but I'm not that a fan. Nico
Okay.
Rosberg has some great Heineken commercials. I did shout to Nico that he has great commercials. He probably heard me. He was really wearing this really ugly green tracksuit. You couldn't miss it.
He was copying Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
What about the food at the track? Was there a lot of food stands?
Yes and no. Canada is really big with pizza. which I believe is the Little Caesars of
Mm-hmm.
Canada or whatever. But then it got to the point where it was pizza, $6 hot dogs, or pizza. So
$6 hot dogs.
$6 hot dogs.
Were
Yeah.
they at least footlongs?
Nah, I didn't measure it.
I mean, I just I didn't.
No, they weren't that big. I finished it rather quickly. So anyway, that was my Formula One race weekend. A+ for the experience, B- for the race. So with that,
Would you go again, or would you pick somewhere else?
100%. I would love to go to Circuit de America, just because it's a different track. Montreal's a really nice city, but America.
Have you ever been to Canada before?
Nope, that was my first time. The first time actually out of the country. I'm surprised they let me out. I'm surprised they let me back in.
How was it crossing the border? Is it difficult, or is it just like going through a toll booth?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty much going through an easy pass.
Oh yeah.
What Canada's like? Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, and then the U.S. guy was like, "Y'all look like some pretty white boys. You can get back in."
Oh, you had to get out.
We had to come back in. So we went into Canada, and then the guy working the American booth was like, "Oh, okay, you went to the F1 race. See you later." So
Okay.
Did you notice a lot of Americans at the race, or was it mostly Canadian?
yes,
people?
believe it or not, we sat right next to a guy that drove 9.5 hours from D.C. to go to the race.
Oh, cool.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, most of them were from the native Canada region. I mean, a lot of French going on.
I was just trying to.
Now, is
picture.
there like any campers at the track like you'd see at a NASCAR race, or
No,
No.
you're not allowed to. No one's allowed to drive unless you're somebody in F1. You're not allowed to actually access to the track because the track's an island. So everybody who's
okay.
a spectator like myself uses the metro to get to the track. It's pretty cool. It's the same
How
track.
was the crowd?
It was packed.
Yeah, wasn't
It was
good.
packed. It was. They filled the grandstands we were in. For those who aren't interested in F1 but want to know, it's the same track that the Xfinity guys used to race on, Circuit de Villeneuve
Okay.
in Canada. The races that Montoya would put on a good show with Scott Pruitt. That was I think it was the same track that Carl Edwards did the whole Swiffer thing with the windshield.
Okay.
That might have been no, I think that was Circuit de America. But anyway, it was a great race weekend.
I'm still trying to picture you and Rendo coming back, across the border to come home,
Yeah.
and him just like wearing like all Ferrari gear and having like a big red foam finger. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, Ferrari. And go-
That kid was wired. He drove for about an hour and 15 minutes or so that he drove on the way there home, and he was wired. He was pumped. He was pumped.
That's the way I
Ferrari,
when I leave a
Ferrari.
race.
Yeah.
Towing the race car home. I'm good for the first couple hours. I'm like wide awake.
Right.
And
Right.
it's,
You don't need this coffee stuff. Anyway, with that said, Scott mentioned his race wins. I think we're going to bookend the Formula One. Are we taking a break, Josh? Are you good to go? Then let's go to it. Scott Riggleman, you had a great race weekend. Tell us about your weekend real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a busy 7 days for me. I mean, it started at Big Diamond last Friday, 2 Fridays ago. We had an Enduro race there on Friday, a 50 lapper that I won. But now that was June 1st. And then we were off at Wall Stadium because they had the big drifting event at Wall Stadium. So we had the race Saturday. So then Sunday, I went to Grandview Speedway for a set of twin 50 lappers where I finished 8th and 4th. I drew dead last. It was a pill pick, and I drew dead last in the first race. And they wetted the track down so much that cars were spinning out and blocking the track. And I literally had to sit there and wait for them to move so I can get across. And by that time happened, I was getting lapped, And then we worked on the car all week, and we went back up to Big Diamond again on Friday for a 50 lapper, and I was able to win that. At that time, I drew the pole out of the hat, which was nice. It made it a lot easier, especially in a dirt track race, and the visibility is so much better when you're out front. And then I went to Wall Stadium Saturday, and I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to win a race on dirt and then win a race on asphalt, and I was able to do it, on the same weekend. So that was pretty cool. I won Friday night at Big Diamond on a 3/8 dirt track, and then went to Wall on a 3rd-mile high banked asphalt track, and I won again on Saturday and on the asphalt. So that was pretty cool.
So that was the first time you did something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've won at 2 different tracks. I mean,
Right.
I've won at Wall
But
Stadium,
not dirt and
I've won
asphalt.
at Evergreen, stuff like that. But yeah, it was cool I mean, I have won back to back. I've won races at Wall on a Saturday night, and then drove to Evergreen and won a race on a Sunday there.
But now,
Never
now
on two
he's
different surfaces now, and I thought that was pretty cool.
so Scott's done it all now, so he can retire and let
Right,
let
right,
other guys
right.
have a
Yeah,
shot at winning.
Ellie Wall told me, he's like, Scott, I don't even know why you race. The only thing you can do now is make yourself look bad. He's like, he's like, when you win, it's just another win. But if you stop winning, now you're just washed up and you suck. He's like, you should just retire now.
I don't see Scott sitting still, let alone not behind the wheel of a race car.
He'll get into iRacing.
Yeah.
Get
a butt kicker.
when his joints when his joints start hurting and he can't do it, he'll be like, I have to iRace now.
I tell you, I was tired, and then Sunday we worked on Nancy and that Big Diamond. They race Friday nights. They don't even start until 8:00 at night, and the Enduro was dead last. I think we rolled out on the track at 11:30 at night.
Oh,
yeah, and we didn't get loaded up and out of there at 12:30. I think it was 1:00 when we pulled out of the pit gates. 3.5 hour.
I'm surprised it was that early, honestly.
Yeah, we got out of there. I got home 4 a.m. on it would be Saturday morning, late Friday night, and he was just saying how Nick Rindo was wired. I was the same way, we just won. It was a great ride home. But man, I got about 45 minutes from my house and I started getting really, really tired. Then Saturday morning, I got to get up early. I got to get up around 9 or 10, get out, switch the cars around. I got to load the asphalt stuff up, unload the dirt stuff, make it to the track. Luckily, we had a pretty smooth day at Wall Stadium. I mean, Nancy got a little fender bender in the heat race. We had to do some pop rivet and sheet metal work on her car, but other than that, it went pretty smooth at Wall. And the good thing at Wall is we were the second feature because it was the big Garden State Classic 125 lapper for the modified. So we were the second feature. It was still daylight when we rolled out on the track for the feature at Wall Stadium. So
that's
that
a rarity.
Cool.
I mean, normally the factory stocks are going out as the sun is setting for a heat race, and you're hoping you don't get into a pileup in turn one.
Right.
Right.
I can't.
For our listeners, Wall Stadium is very bad for sun glare. I mean, going, like Josh says, going into one with that sun setting just at the top of those trees, man, you don't see nothing.
I don't know how you guys do it.
In front of you.
Yeah. When I try to look at for the listeners who don't know, I pretty much just don't do anything. I sit on the top of the hill and just kind of guard the gate.
You check underwear.
Yeah, I do check underwear. But I look down and I can't see anything. Let alone, I don't know how you guys drive down the ramp expecting no one to be at the other end of the ramp.
When you're seeing that, luckily, when you get down the track, now the sun is actually kind of below the trees. That elevation change makes a lot. When you get down to that bowl. But we've had, I can't tell you how many heat races where the sun is just above the trees. It's at, the worst possible spot. And, you come out of the turn, you're turn 4, you're flooring it, and then I mean you're used to the track. Pretty much when you're going to have to get on the brakes, turn, but you don't know what they're doing in front of you because you can't see them.
Right.
And
you're exactly right, Josh. I kind of try to memorize who's in front of me going down the back straightaway into the corner, so you know what's in front of you when you're going down the straightaway. And like you're saying, you're using the guardrail kind of as a guide to know where you're at.
Exactly.
But for Wall Stadium, though, it's only for, like you said, there's only a window of a half hour. It's that bad, and then it's gone.
Yeah, 15 minutes to a half hour. And, if it's at that point, it's almost like I wish the official – and I know you have to put a show on. I know you got to get things moving. But I'm also like, could you give us 15 minutes, and then I promise, I'm not going to F up in turn one. Now, the thing is, Scott, you and I, at least in the summer, run screens. For the window.
I was going to ask that. When you guys don't, though, I'm sure the glare's even worse.
When you're running a Lexan,
looking through a Lexan, it's a lot worse.
Especially if it's older Lexan, I can't even begin to imagine how bad that gets.
Yeah.
So and then you're always debate, like you said, because when you're sitting up in the pits, the sun's might not be shining in your eyes, but then when you get down on the track, it is, or vice versa.
Right.
So you always should I bring sunglasses or shouldn't I bring sunglasses? Sometimes I put sunglasses on, I get down on the track, and then the sun's behind the trees once you're down on the track, and you're trying to tuck the sunglasses somewhere where you don't lose them while you're racing. It's the heat races are tricky at Wall Stadium.
You wear glasses when you race, right?
Nope.
You don't?
Nope.
Oh.
For our listeners, I do have a prescription for glasses and contacts. The thing is, it's a really mild astigmatism. So when I'm driving, the past 2 days, I went to work and I didn't wear glasses or contacts, and I can drive around just fine. The thing is, like when I see a sign for the Parkway, I know it's a Parkway sign. I go, okay, cool, the Parkway's there, but I can't tell if it says north or south right away in the words. So that gets a little blurred together. But the thing is, up close, or as I get a little closer, it's not a problem. It's just at a distance when I'm like, all right, I need to be in that lane or whatever. So when I race, because really if you look at like old video games, like these 16-bit video games, like the original Mario or whatever, basically when you're following a car, as much as you want to see, and it would be nice to be able to see really fine details on the track, where if somebody lost a part or whatever, for the most part you can just kind of envision the cars as big blocks,
Right.
in a way. And you can tell where that block is, and my vision is nowhere near that bad. I can see just fine across the track. I can tell what car it is.
I'm about as useful as Ray Charles when it comes to eyesight.
but
I shouldn't be saying that as an official. I have great eyesight.
if I'm coming off of 4, I can see whoever's coming off of 2, and I can make out the cars. Other than the A pillar being.
So when Scott's coming around, you're like, oh shoot.
Yeah, I mean, if you had team cars, like I might not know right away if it was Nancy or Scott,
right.
because the identical paint schemes.
Come on, Scott.
Liveries. But beyond that, which I mean, that could happen, with or without glasses, just
Right.
because plus the vibrations. And my thing is, I never wanted to put the glasses on and then worry about them falling down, and then it's
True.
Scott, have you ever sneezed in your helmet, like while you're?
No, I haven't. I never have.
That sounds awful.
I don't think I have. I think I have, like maybe on the grid, but like I've never have when I was actually.
You know what's funny? Scott mentioned on the show about 2 months ago about how he always needs a clean windshield.
Mm-hmm.
Since I've been back at Wall Stadium, I take mental notes and I watch how many times he wipes down his windshield.
I tell you what, though, now that I've been racing dirt a lot more, my visibility at Wall Stadium seems so much better now. A speck of dirt on my windshield doesn't bother me as much, because I tell you, man, that dirt, that's the trickiest part, is having visibility. Because, I mean, everybody's like, well, use tear-offs, which I do use tear-offs. Well, people don't understand. If you put like more than 5 tear-offs or 6 tear-offs on your helmet, it's hard to see through those tear-offs.
It starts to get hazy. It really does.
It gets hazy. Plus, dust gets in between the tear-offs too. So you don't want to put too many tear-offs, but then you don't want to not put enough, because you need them during the course of a race. So half the challenge of dirt racing is just visibility. And now, racing dirt a lot. Then I go to Wall Stadium, like, oh, this is great. You can see everything. You know what I'm saying?
Scott, I have another solution for you.
Uh-oh.
Hang on. Wait, did you break something?
No.
Okay. You were looking at your computer when you said that. The solution, Scott, you got to do the Richard Petty thing where you chew on a rag, and then if you're out of tear-offs, you got a nice wet rag, you can wipe it.
What's funny about that? I use my glove after a while. I start wiping it with my glove, but then it's dry. But yeah, I mean, Glenn Osborne told me that he's a long time enduro racer. He said he didn't never use tear-offs. He would just have a damp rag with him, and he would wipe it off that way. But I'm getting used to the tear-offs. I'm doing pretty good with them now.
I had a rag with me up
about
at
IndyCars and tear-offs. I was amazed that the IndyCar guys use tear-offs at Indy during the Indy 500. I can't believe they don't blow off at that speed.
They have a lot more expensive helmets than we do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to think too. I wonder if they have like better tear-offs than what I'm buying.
I'm sure. They probably do. They're probably more specific. I mean, if you think about like just the cockpit, like everything is form fitted to those guys, and made for them. So I
see them have tear-offs on their helmet at Indy 500. I'm like, how are these tear-offs not blowing off their helmet?
Yeah.
But I guess
some of them also have that not the real visor, but just something that deflects some of the air up and away over the helmet, which is helpful. I remember up at Mountain, now Evergreen, the one Snowball Enduro, and I had a couple tear-offs, but I was like, it's just water, so I found a rag in the truck, and I just tucked that in the side of my seat, and when it was getting too much slush and stuff on my helmet, because I was still running the screen, and it sucked because it was so cold, but at the same time it meant that I didn't have to do the Clint Boyer Swiffer thing.
Right.
I could just wipe my visor, and it worked. It's a really simple, cheap solution.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it. When I get dirt on my glasses, I like freak out. It's like, get it off.
But going back to talking people wearing glasses when they race, I mean, Teddy Christopher, who recently passed away in a plane crash, he liked racing with glasses. He said he doesn't really he never really wore glasses that much. He preferred to wear them when he was racing. Then he got Woody Pitkat using glasses in their racing. They said it seemed to help them with their visibility too. So.
Well, how about this? I'll try my contacts the next time I race, if if I can ever get my car together, or if I can pay somebody to rent a ride. I mean, so when Scott finally gives up on the points thing, I'm going to offer him like a couple grand to run the car for one night. And
talking about points, I had a good points night Saturday. Well, I think I moved from 6th to 3rd.
Speaking of that, our own Scott Ringman won the factory stock feature. Sal Liguori won the four-cylinder stock feature. Wow, I just read that for the first time. I was like, man, what the heck? Sorry, Sal. Didn't mean to butcher your name. Peter Bruno won the Legend Car race. And Jimmy Blewett won the Garden State Classic, the $5,000 125-lap race.
Do you realize there's only 5 Legend Cars there at Wall Stadium? What's going on with that division?
I think they're in a lull. I think it's happened before.
Yeah.
And I think they'll come back.
We're also getting towards the point. Would you consider this the mid-season?
People are
I'm
calling
saving
it the
my car
mid-season.
for Turkey Derby.
People are calling our mid-season. You realize we only got 5 races in.
Yeah.
Out of a 25 race schedule, so we're not mid-season. People are calling it mid-season because of all the rainouts and stuff, but there's still a lot of racing.
Yeah.
To go,
there's plenty to go. I mean, your season can totally take an upswing, or you can have a terrible rest of the season. It happens. So, I mean, I think it's too early to tell anything in that direction. I just, hope things are going well. I know there were some scoreboard
I was
issues.
just curious with the Legend Cars, if you think it was something to do with like a Wall Stadium INEX thing, or...
No, I think a lot of people moved up in the Legend Car series.
I haven't heard any of those rumors or people complaining about anything. So I think it's purely... maybe just time with other conflicts, and then the Legends kind of have a thing where they can have an all or nothing,
right?
In the same way that they race, where they have a really good, all green race, or they have like 4 red flags, right, which the late models can kind of do. So I think maybe there was some stuff tore up, or they kind of have this.
They always have big numbers for their bigger races like Turkey Derby, and we always have. I think we turned down a few Legend Cars a Turkey Derby last year.
I think you need to turn down more, unfortunately. I don't want to send anybody home. I hate that. I know that's Scott will probably tell you over and over. That's how it was back in the day. If you
back in my day,
yeah, when he walked uphill both ways to
that's
school.
Right.
But I don't like sending cars home. I don't, especially
you get to
today.
race and you get to race.
Well,
that's the problem. If you do start every car at every race, they start pulling stuff out of the woodwork, and it's like you got to draw a line somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Then you start getting the starting parks, and then it just ends up like Starcom, and it's just a big mess. Rob Kaufman would not be happy.
Josh, have you ever driven a Legend car?
No.
I tell you what, they're pretty quick, man. They're fun to drive. They're quick.
Eric Graham had a 14.4 in one that came up because
they move out. I actually think Wall Stadium's a little too fast and too big for the Legend Cars. Maybe that scares a few guys away.
That's a bucket list.
Yeah, I was at Big Diamond. They were running the Legend Cars at Big Diamond, and I was like, man, I can't believe they're running these Legend Cars on this track. But they were, and they put on a great show.
Should the Legend Cars run the flat, like the inner oval, like the TQs?
Oh, I'm not getting involved in this.
I'm just.
I'm against that flat. I don't like that flat track.
You and Joey Bailey are together. I don't know. I think it's. I like they've had decent car counts for the most part.
Speaking of that, I think we had a show last after the ATQMRA.
We had
race.
A show.
Yeah, I think we did. But it was great to hang out with all of them. Eric Graham, our own Eric Graham, helped out race directing at their last race at Wall Stadium. It was great to talk to Joey, Kyle, Buddy. Check them out on their social media. We always share their posts.
Sam, did you have an opinion on the them running with the wings on the flat? No,
I did. I think it's new, and I think it's too early to judge.
Okay.
If you want to talk from the fan base, which is what I'm giving the opinion of, because
because you're not a driver, we get it,
and I'm not an official. I think they look cooler with the wings.
Mm-hmm.
So as a fan, if I was a young kid in the stands, you're like, man, those are sick race cars. Like it just draws a lot of attention.
I agree. I don't like the look of them without a wing. I really don't. I like the wings on those cars.
I've said on the show before, and I'm not kissing ass to them. They're by far my favorite division at Wall Stadium.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I'm
what
out
the
there
hell,
driving my
Sam?
ass
Yeah.
off trying to put a show on for you, and you're like,
Maybe next year, Scott.
What do we have to do to prove to you that the factory stocks are
Put
the
some
best?
big ass wings on them, maybe.
hey, I'd be
I'm
for
just
that.
kidding.
I'd
I'm
put
just
a wing on my
kidding.
car.
I'll put a wing on the factory stock.
I'm
We'll
just
do
kidding.
It. It'll look stupid, but
I don't know. I just really enjoy their racing. Not saying I enjoy the indoor racing because that's a headache. No,
they've had good years with that.
yeah,
Look,
the
I
dirt
go-
added a lot. I give them that.
Well, yes,
But granted, I know it's two separate entities. Same cars, two separate entities. So.
but I also like I love going to AC, partially because we go to Hooters afterwards. But if they had a tilted kilt down in AC, I got to change. It's Darylyn's.
It's not May anymore.
Yeah, it's not. I'm sorry, I have to change her. She'll be different for the next episode.
Anyway, that's my opinion about it. I think the racing product will get better as the guys get used to it, as everyone gets more knowledge about it. Not saying that they're dumb by any means. I just think it got a little used
No,
to it.
you have to get used
Right.
to each. The factory stocks are the same thing
Right,
with the tires,
with the tires,
and now they're running
exactly.
just as fast as they were.
Exactly. So I think in time change is a good thing. But if you wanted some inside scoop from the track, you're talking to the wrong guy. I'm just Sam from the RPM podcast.
Yeah, we'll go talk to Scott about that.
Yeah, y'all probably know more about that than I do anyway. So
Sam's like, wait, the spring goes where?
yeah, where does the wing go? Anyway,
But Sam, you were talking about at Formula One. You guys ran down to the stage to watch the victory ceremonies and all
Yes.
that stuff. I tell you what, we got over early at Wall Stadium. You should have seen how many people came in the pits. I haven't seen that many people in the pits in a long time, and I think that's really great. And the key was, I know it was a 125 lap modified race. We only had 4 divisions there Saturday night, so it was a quick show. And the fans do get to come in the pits, and I think they really, really enjoy that. I always notice if the races get over like before 10 o'clock, we get a ton of people in the pits. If it gets over around 11, we don't get anybody in the pits to come see the
I think a lot of the
drivers,
parents draw a line at let's
Right.
say 9:30 or
My
10
dad
p.m.
always did.
That's
Yeah.
why I definitely I just like when they have less divisions there and the shows get over at 10 and the fans come into pits. It's just such a good time.
yeah.
Yeah,
I remember going to Wall about 10 years ago when Eric raced and stuff like that, and my dad would be like, well, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, we can go. Or if it rained out, like I remember growing up wishing it would rain out so I can go hang out in the pits. Because
Okay.
when it rained out early, I could always go in the pits and
Yeah, you
meet
can
the
go in the
drivers
pits
and
then,
stuff.
yeah.
Right. Now I can't get out of the pits. Go figure. So, but I think that's about it. No?
I was going to talk a little more with Atco putting a show together after
Sure.
that rain delay.
Yeah, how was that, Josh? That thrill show down there?
Honestly, it was a lot of fun. I mean, all right, in like the criticism or the being critical end of things, little schedule tweaking. But I think this is their first big thrill show and in at least quite a while. And they were trying to do a lot of what Englishtown used to do, and they had a lot of the same stuff.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Now, was this the thrill show that they used to have at Englishtown? Because Englishtown's closed, they moved it to ATCO. Do you think that's what's going on here?
I think that was kind of the basis for it. While it may not have been exactly that, you're sniffing at the right tree. It wasn't that funny, Sam. But they had the jet car, they had the Hannah jet cars. So they had 2 jet funny cars. They had 2 jet dragsters. Queen of Diamonds 2. I don't know what happened to Queen of Diamonds 1. I remember back when the Queen of Diamonds that I saw was Jessie Harris, and this was some girl Sarah Edwards, I think, driving it. 299 flat and 299.4.
I can't imagine going that fast.
It's
Granted,
you're Catholic.
That's true.
So
You
Now,
kind
Josh,
of-
I can't remember the last time I was at ATCO, if I was even ever at ATCO, to tell you the truth.
well, they
Compare ATCO to Englishtown. Is it a smaller facility than Englishtown? Is it like more of a short track compared to like a Pocono type deal?
it's definitely more. I don't want to say barren because I mean they have. It's definitely a smaller facility. There's no way about it. There is it is a smaller facility. Now, the same thing as with Englishtown. Every ticket is a pit pass. So you go in, you park.
which is awesome. That's one thing I love about drag racing, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Go
you
in,
can go
buy a
right
ticket,
up to
go anywhere you
everybody.
want.
Now, unfortunately, because the show got postponed from Saturday to a Wednesday night, some of the monster trucks and things had like other commitments. They had to be on the road to the next show, so they couldn't be there, and they lost some of their cars. I it sucks for the fans, but I understand
Right.
what happens and why it happened. So it was unfortunate, but that's what. But it was a beautiful, cool night. I was wearing a hoodie. I was wearing my Brian O'Shea hoodie. By the way, and my kid had a blast. We had
I think I threw Brian O'Shea off the other day at Wall when I shook his hand and asked him how he was doing.
yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you don't normally talk to me." I'm like,
No,
Brian.
no, it's the other way around. He
Yeah,
doesn't
you
talk.
normally don't talk.
Yeah.
Love you, Brian.
So they had some. They had a lot of bracket racing. It was like a gamblers. I forget what the actual call. They had a couple bikes there as well.
You couldn't pay me to freaking drag race a bike.
How much was it to get into a night of thrills like this?
It was $20 for adults, $10 for kids. I forget
Okay.
the actual division for if it was like 12 and under or so. I forget the
Free
exact.
parking.
Yeah, free parking. The food was good. We had I think we all just had like chicken tenders and fries. A simple go-to, but it was good. They had other stuff for the kids. The other little activities. The monster truck rides were awesome, and they were going and going and going for a while. They had a couple. One of the guys who races there, I guess, must have a connection with like a salvage yard or something. He actually donated the cars for the monster trucks to crush. That they had like 3 piles the monster trucks would hit and jump over and all that. And then after the bracket racing, I mean, you had jet cars, which again, always a thrill. They had like alcohol funny cars. They had they had 2 front-wheel drive cars that were racing, and honestly, it's I want to look down on them. I want to hate them. It was quick, man. Like I was really impressed. I think we actually saw a new.
It's weird when you see them pull out to the line and their front tires are bigger than their back tires.
Yeah.
That's the funny part when you watch front wheel drive cars drag race.
There was a guy. I think they had a wheel stander. It was a PT Cruiser, was it? No. I forget. The wheel stand. He had a ton of neon underneath, and he had these like
What
flame
monster
jets.
trucks were there? Any names we would recognize?
No, they were well under.
Scott, with your impressive racing resume, have you ever driven a monster truck?
You know what? I haven't, but
Is that a bucket list thing of yours?
when for some reason when my whole racing career, I usually go. I haven't this time. I've been racing straight through for a while, but I used to go on like 5-year stints. I would race 5 years, take a year off, try to get caught up on life, stuff like that, go back racing. Well, I bought this house I think 14 years ago now. When I sold my house in Howell, moved down here and got to start the towing business, I took a year off from racing. Just to get the towing business going, get in this house. I didn't have a garage here. We had to build a garage here, so I took a year off from racing. But I was doing demolition derbies.
Did you have to build it the same size as your house?
Well, I had to build it bigger.
Nancy posted a picture of the what you have. Man, you have a badass setup.
Yeah,
I
right.
normally don't get jealous over another man, but I am jealous.
Well, the reason we built that garage so high was
We're going to get deep here, guys.
The dream of mine was always have a garage with a car lift in it. Well, I didn't have the money for the lift when I built the garage, but the 5-year plan was to have a lift in 5 years. So I built the garage real tall and high so I can have a car lift in it someday. So then when the garage was built, I didn't have a race car yet, and we were doing the demolition derbies, and it was a lot of fun. And a lot of times you do demolition derbies, there's monster trucks there also, It's part of the same show. So now I'm looking at my garage. I'm like, wow, I got a nice tall garage here. I'm like, maybe instead of buying a race car, I'll buy a monster truck. And Nancy thought I was kidding. I'm like, I was online, like looking at trucks for sale, and there's like teams for sale. You can buy a whole monster truck team, tractor trailer, everything,
Yeah, I'd say it's a lot. You break a lot of stuff though.
My God! So we started going to the monster truck shows because I was serious about it. When I get involved in something, I'm pretty serious about it. So we started going to a lot of events and going into pits and talking to people and looking around. And you're right, man. Every time they went, they would break. The rear would break. The motor would break. It's almost monster trucks are a lot different now than when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Before they would just go over to cars and do some donuts and wheel stands and stuff like that.
And that was it.
now to put on a show, it's like you almost have to destroy your truck to put on a good show. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Tom Mentz does that all the time.
Yeah,
Pisses
exactly.
me off.
Now, I mean, you're talking like the planetaries are gonna bust, the
Right.
brake bindings fall apart, and you're talking alcohol motors, which is, I mean, they're powerful. They have a certain sound to them, but I mean, you're pulling oil lines or cooler lines, and they're smoking and puking, and it's just, I mean, everything's the frame seems to hold up.
Right.
But I mean, you go to one monster truck event, like a Monster Jam thing, and find one guy that doesn't tweak a sway bar,
Yeah.
out there. I mean, it happens at every event.
You know what I like about the monster trucks? And we're talking about
Big
monster.
crush stuff.
No, I don't. I love the racing when they
Yeah.
start at the opposite ends,
Mhm.
and then they just. Ugh. I always loved that as a kid. I remember playing the video games. Like, man, I screw the freestyle. I don't want to see monster trucks. Like, the whole racing them. Like, man, that is badass.
Yeah.
I like the racing too, but unfortunately, the freestyle is where it's at for the
Yeah.
fans. And like you say, if you want to win the freestyle, you got to destroy your truck. But yeah, the closest I did get to racing a monster truck was Kelly Chevrolet, the guy who owned Kelly Chevrolet. He had a
Right.
monster truck, and Nancy did talk to him. She's like, Scott wants to try the monster truck. We're thinking about buying one. He's like, well, just team up with me. He's like, I have it. It needs a motor. The motor's blowing up, and we almost teamed up with him, put a motor in, it, and went and did it. But they ended up selling Kelly Chevrolet, and he ended up selling the truck.
Right.
But
I remember that thing sitting there, right on the Lair Road.
yeah,
there.
the Jersey Devil or something like that, or something like that was called. Yeah, I almost put a deal with him together to go monster truck racing, but like you said, I got looking around at it, and it would have been a whole new learning curve to me. I knew nothing about it, but when I was looking around, I liked the old school monster trucks. They had a lot of events with them where it was just old school type monster trucks that ran over cars and stuff like that at like fairs out in Pennsylvania. I thought
Right.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but
I was thinking about
you're probably
one of
getting
them.
into Leaf Springs, and that is
Yeah, the old leaf springs, like
Oh.
6 shocks on the axles, and you go and run cars
Oh,
over.
my back is hurting thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
that's
what she
just
said.
rough.
But they're out there. You can buy one of those
That's why you keep
you
me
can
around.
buy, like, if you were serious about doing it, you can find some of those old school monster trucks for under 20 grand,
Yeah.
So we start an RPM podcast monster truck team. We'll call it the
Yeah,
hot
that'd
dog
be
and
cool.
put Eric putting his face on the
That'd
side.
be
I hum. International House of Monsters.
Beats I hump.
I humped. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, so it was a really good show.
So what monster trucks were there, Josh?
I'd have to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head. They were definitely. And I hate saying this because I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but it'd be like a no name, lower level. Not really. They're not going to be on TV or anything like that.
Did they break? Did they break right away?
One did. I want to say one was like Aftershock, or they had like
Oh,
one
yeah,
that was like
Aftershock's been around forever. Yeah. He's
Was
Was there a
local guy.
Bigfoot?
No.
There has to be a Bigfoot.
no Bigfoot.
Jesus. What is this world coming to?
Yeah,
I tell you what, Bigfoot ain't what Bigfoot used to be. That's
No,
for sure.
Well, Bigfoot followed that route of just running over the cars, not doing the Tom Mentz
Right.
or even the Dennis Anderson
Right.
style of just beating the crap out of everything.
Yeah.
Hang on, I can find if it'll load. I'm going to.
You know what monster truck I started liking now? I don't know if our listeners even care about monster trucks, but I like them.
Here's the thing: monster trucks are. It's like a train wreck. It ain't pretty, but you can't look away. I mean, I don't care
Kinda
how
like my
old you are.
ex-girlfriends.
It's always cool to watch.
Josh, have you seen that monster truck called Crustacean? It looks like a lobster.
Yes, I've seen it,
No.
Out of
Scott.
Maine. Out of Maine. He's starting to get big, that guy. I remember when he first started out, he was real small, but now I see he's doing a lot of shows now. He's out of Maine. He's a lobster fisherman out of Maine, and his truck looks like a lobster. He does a good job with it.
I'm trying to. There were posts. If I
Should
can
end at
find-
crabs. And then start giving people
Oh
crabs.
no! Don't follow the Blue Claws thing, please.
So did they actually go down the drag strip, Josh?
No. The monster truck stayed off the side. The only time they were on the drag strip was they had Doug Danger.
Yeah, he got hurt, right? Didn't he get injured there?
Yes, yeah, he did get hurt. Now, the weird thing, like they set it up, they set up the ramps. They parked the two monster trucks that they had, and they parked the monster truck ride truck in between the ramps. Which I mean, really, I from everything they're saying, he's jumped way farther than that before. But that's what they had, and it would look cool. They set up the ramps, and he does a couple practice runs. He does some wheelies, all that stuff. He comes up, hits the jump, lands just fine. It looks, maybe he was a hair far down in the ramp, but he landed. It was okay. He goes down into the burnout box, turns around, starts coming back, and uh, I was looking because they had some pyrotechnics and they had a big explosion. Boom! It looked all cool, and some pieces of it landed in the grass on the far side of the track. I'm like, oh, look at that. And all of a sudden you hear the announcer go, "Oh no!" And I look over, and the bike is sliding. I mean,
Oh, really?
yeah, he came back, and it looked. There was a video, like a cell phone video from somebody who was down like on the track. It looked like as he was coming back after landing the jump, he did maybe another wheelie, just whatever. And as he came down, the wheel just almost like if you've ever ridden a dirt bike or a motorcycle, and if you were to lock up the front or hit something really slick, the wheel. He looked like he turned it to the left, and the bike just laid over and went down. And I don't know if he just hit hard with his body or if he hit part of the ramp structure, but he was down. He did not get up to talk to anybody. The EMTs were right there. They got to him. I mean, which,
Right.
I mean, all of them had closed in because of the stunt that was about to happen, but they got right to him. They put him on a backboard stretcher, took him to the hospital or whatever. Turns out he is okay, just got banged up a little bit. Honestly, I was scared. I mean, the guy's got to be in his 70s.
Yeah, that's what I say. Doug Danger, man, he was doing that stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah, and he's not as old as Benny the Bomb, but
Y'all lost me here.
Scott knows Benny the Bomb.
I know Benny Baum. He performed at Wall Stadium not too long ago. He
Yeah.
was at that monster truck show in
Yeah.
the beginning when Crosses first took over.
I saw him a number of times at Englishtown and all that, and there's Tommy Trouble Matague and all that stuff. But Doug Danger, yeah, I thought he maybe hurt his back on the landing and just was able to hold it together till he could get back to where help was, or if he had like a freaking heart attack or something. I mean, I was worried about him. Luckily, he's okay. But yeah, it was a scary moment, and that was the very end of the show, and we stayed. I mean, they wrapped up. I want to say by 10:30. I mean, if that's, maybe a few minutes earlier than that. I know I stayed.
You know what? When I was a kid, I think Evil Knievel got hurt down there too. I think if you want to Google that, I think Evil Knievel did a jump at ACO. Either he did like a world record jump at ACO successfully, or he got hurt
Right.
there. I know he had a big milestone moment at ACO Speedway. I just forget what it was.
If it was good or bad.
Yeah, I don't know if it was good or bad. I think it was bad, though. I think it really was bad.
Um,
I love thrill shows. I wish they would do more of it. They're kind of starting to get not as good as they used to be, but I enjoy thrill shows, man.
The wheel stander was cool because I mean, which I've seen wheel standers before, but I mean, they had the way they were doing. They had huge flames out the back. He did a couple runs, and he came back, parked it, alcohol motor and all thing, and he was letting it cool down. They had a mini PT Cruiser golf cart that was the tow vehicle for this thing. And now here's what you'll love. They had that in the burnout box. That golf cart did a burnout, and the smoke that came out, it was ridiculous. It was insane. It was so much fun to watch. I mean, it had no business doing that, but it was a lot of fun. I'm still trying to figure out the names of those two monster trucks, but it was honestly, it was a good show.
So there's only two monster trucks left. Is that what you're saying?
There's only two monster trucks for the main
One
show.
broke.
Yeah, and one broke, and the other guy went out and went longer just to
Right.
keep it
Make
moving.
up for it.
Yeah.
I know you say you like the jet cars. You know what used to be cool with the thrill shows around here? They used to be guy used to come with a jet car, and it used to say Budweiser on the side. It was sponsored by Budweiser.
Really?
They would stack junk cars up, and he would put the flame of the jet engine right up against it, and he would melt the cars
Yes.
to nothing.
I've
That
seen
was
videos
awesome.
of that. I haven't seen one in person.
It was awesome. And then they put like explosives in the car, so when the metal starts getting real weak and thin from the flame, it would explode and
Yeah.
it would blow the thing all over the place. That was always pretty cool.
They had a jet truck there, which had some type of electrical problem and was not able.
Jesus.
They tried twice to light it, and they got it smoking, but it never actually lit.
That's one thing when you go to these monster truck shows at these smaller venues, not the Monster Jam type stuff.
Yeah.
It's a travel and circus. It really is. You never know what you're going to get. They're either going to run or they're not going to run. Sometimes everything works. Sometimes nothing works.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Buckshot was one of the monster trucks. It looks kind of like a Hummer, and I'm still trying to find the other one. Web Slinger. Buckshot and
Hold on
Web
1 second. My
Slinger.
cat's stuck up on the shelf here.
Oh
Hold
no!
on 1 second.
I'm picturing Scott screaming at the cat like that one guy in the videos where he just literally curses and screams at his cat.
Get down.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Web Slinger was the ride-along truck. Where is the other one? Can I see the? I think I'm just going through the same couple photos at this point.
Anyway, while Scott's doing his thing and we're getting ready to
Well,
end
Scott's
the show
playing
here,
with his.
don't
never
forget
mind.
to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at the RPM Podcast or at the RPM Podcast _. Like us on Facebook at the Racing Podcast NJ. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us some feedback, comment, rate us, and get a free T-shirt. Email us your address so I can find out where you live, and I will mail you a free shirt, not used. That's a big selling point here on the RPM Podcast.
And Eric Brennan can suck it because the announcer at ATCO is pretty damn good.
Really?
Yeah, I was, and that's a tough job, especially when you get the downtime. And that's where my one bit of criticism was they had a couple things, and they had most of them lined up. They were trying to get everybody into the lanes, and like, okay, so and so, you're on standby.
Right.
Show cars, I need you in. While the bracket racing was still going. So they did a pretty good job of that. But every once in a while, like when something broke or they needed a few minutes or whatever, like, hey, where are you guys? We need you over here, and which. Honestly, for what they had to deal with and how they were putting it together, they did a pretty good job. I'm not complaining. Yeah, it was a late night on a Wednesday night, school night. Everybody knew it,
Right.
but the crowd really wasn't bad. We actually had to wait in line to with the car, like before we could even pay to get in. So I mean, it was good. Anyway, I just thought it was really cool, and I just want to keep our local tracks going. It's
That's
just
right.
a shame I wasn't camping out
Race
there.
local.
Yes, stay local, race local.
Josh, I'll have to find out the date on it. What's another cool thing you might want to take your son to? It's right by Millville, down by Millville Speedway. It's a little bit far.
Okay.
The Cumberland County Fair. Have you ever been to the Cumberland County Fair?
No, I have not.
They have demolition derbies there. They have like monster trucks and tractor pulls and stuff like that. Like it's like a 7-day fair down there, and you can go on their website and check it out and pick an event to go to. Their demolition derbies are really good down there. I enjoy going down there, and it's a nice small fair too. It's not real big. It's not overcrowded, so it'd be a great place to bring your son. You might want to check out the Cumberland County Fair.
All right, I'm going to make a note for that. Scott, now, did you ever find that GoPro? I know you were telling us a little bit about it off air prior to the show.
No, I lost it. It's gone. We were at Grandview Speedway and we had a GoPro mounted on the dirt car, and I came in after the race and I went to go shut it off, and it was gone. It was completely gone. And I went to the track room. I said, "Hey man, I lost my GoPro out on the track." And he starts laughing, and we look at the track, and the graders out there already grading the track. So he's like, "I don't think we're gonna find it." I said, but I do write my car numbers on my GoPro, so it had the car number. So I told him, I said, "Listen, it says 89 on it because it's actually Nancy's GoPro, and if you find it, let me know." He's like, "All right." And we even messaged the racetrack during the week, and nobody ever found it.
Right. And you were saying, between, with dirt, no matter which way you mount it, you were having problems, right?
Yeah, I was having problems with the dirt with the GoPro. I'm done trying to film my dirt races with the GoPro, because I like it facing forward, and when I always go on YouTube looking for like these races so I can watch and learn something from them, like, why are these guys mounting their cameras backwards? I hate it. It looks stupid, but then when I mount it my forward and I go home to watch the video and it's covered in mud and 3 laps, I'm like, oh, that's why they face it backwards. So I started facing mine backwards out the back window, and it kept falling over, breaking off. So I just gave up on it. Yeah.
Well, I think it broke off because that time because you have bricks for hands.
Well, I actually tightened it with a pair of pliers. So I think because I tightened it the much as I can the race before with my fingers, with the thumb, the thumb fasteners or nuts or whatever you want to call them, and it fell over, like the camera leaned over, you know what I'm saying? Like the mount leaned over. So I said, you know what, I'll tighten it a little more with a pair of pliers, and it snapped the plastic right off.
I've never broken a GoPro mount. And
me neither, until I start racing dirt,
Well, Wow. Is it? Do you think the vibrations have anything to do with it because it can get
it's
bumpier?
definitely the vibration, the bumps,
Yeah.
the ruts. It's hard to
Good,
do.
good.
Yeah, you got to watch out for
good.
those ruts.
Good vibration.
Yeah, all the ruts. Yeah.
Hi, Neil.
All right, guys.
All right.
So with that, what
NASCAR's off this weekend, right? NASCAR's off this weekend.
That's right.
are the factory stocks?
Father's Day weekend.
Factory stocks are racing. We have 25 lapper at Wall Stadium.
We have the
Um,
triple 25s coming up too. In
Yeah, that's the
near-
following week. That's going to be
Yeah.
a crazy weekend for me. I'm going to have triple 25s with 2 cars with mine and Nancy's car at Wall Stadium. And then that Sunday, I have a 100 lapper at Grandview with the Outlaw Enduro Series and a 10 lap ladies race that Nancy's going to race in. So that's going to be a real busy weekend for us.
Wow.
Well,
all right. Well,
Happy Father's Day to
What
all the
about
dads.
Are IndyCar racing this weekend or are they off?
Oh, good question. Boom, 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 boom. I've been out of it this weekend. IndyCar will be racing June 22nd. So, no, they are off this weekend.
good.
They're
Where's
off.
their next race at?
Their next race is
I can sleep.
do the Kohler Grand Prix, which, good golly,
The what Grand Prix?
Doom.
Oh, Kohler.
Road
like-
America.
Like the,
They're at Road America.
like the faucets and stuff.
Yes. They're
Sam,
hot.
just one quick question about the Formula One race. Do they have like souvenir trailers there or anything like
They
that?
do.
Or tents there?
Fantatics.
Oh, yeah, they do them too.
Yes, but they have a lot better setup than what NASCAR does. They have smaller tents spread out. It's more ground to cover. I mean, it's a huge track they go to.
Yeah.
So, but it's really nice. Not as pricey as you may think.
Really?
I didn't get anything though because
You didn't even get a shot glass? I always collect the shot glass.
that was a good idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. You don't have to
Now,
use
now
it.
did you actually get out of your seat and go walk around and go walk to a different turn? Could you do that?
Yes, we were in a desirable. We were in a desirable area, so they actually had checkpoints where you check tickets. I probably could have gotten to an area where like there's general admission, where you just kind of bring your own chair and you sit down. I mean, it's a
Right.
park, so people bring coolers of beer and a blanket, and they just lie down, and they just chill out for the weekend, which I probably would have.
They
preferred
wear
to have
hats
done
over
that.
their mullets.
Yeah.
Oh wait, wrong kind.
Yeah. So it was a cool weekend. I was thinking about
How was the
getting some. The weather was gorgeous.
Did it get cold at night up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
I
it's
don't
cold
think Nick Rendo liked the fact that I kept the air to the room at like 60 degrees. Because I
just
sweat
like it-
bullets when I sleep anyway.
Nice and cold, just like his heart.
That's right.
Um,
But he's very happy because Ferrari won. So
anyway, with that, what have we learned today, Sam?
I gotta go first. All right.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
Scott always forgets, so I got to give him
okay.
like 10 seconds.
Alrighty.
He's pissed now. You can see.
I
Oh.
forget every time.
Josh got more blinks than Scott. Scott, he doesn't do gas. Racing dirt gives you hazy vision, equivalent to hanging out with Bill Cosby. The wings to a race car go to the bottom of the car. They ain't no more Bigfoot. I wrote ain't on the show sheet. Sam has to go to ACO. I've never been to ACO. I always want to go to ACO.
It's a good time.
I was talking about ACO with my brother today, actually. And Scott likes it facing forward.
Ah.
So you can cross that one off your list, you mofo.
Anyway, Scott.
Beat that, Scott.
I learned that Doug Danger's 70 years old, still doing
I
stunts.
don't know exactly. I'm.
Look it up, Sam. Look it up real quick. Doug Danger, age.
I don't even know who does this Doug Danger guy. It
Just
sounds like
Just
a
like
porno.
Doug
guy.
Danger. How hard is that?
Well, he's got a pretty
Yeah,
big dick.
Those
Never
guys
mind.
lie anyway. They all lie anyway.
1962. So he's 50,
It's 6.
56.
Okay. Well, it was all
He's younger
great.
than Sam Ballard Sr., kind of like Sam.
Where's Doug Danger from?
Doug Danger is from Massachusetts. That's all it says. He lives in Wales. He's a stage 4 cancer survivor, and I'm going to stop now because the show's pretty damn long.
Yeah, and it's depressing. Anyway, so what have you learned, Scott?
That Doug Danger is not 70 years old. He's 50-something years old.
I thought he was older. I'm sorry.
That's it. That's all I learned.
That's it. Oh, jeez. I learned
I'm
that.
not good at it. I'm not good at that.
I learned that Sam wants to go to iHose. I learned that Nick Rendo is Metro. I think we all knew that. I learned that it was Sam's first time in Canada. And I learned that Scott gets it muddy forward and backward.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. That's not a Catholic thing, I can tell you that.
No.
Anyway, with that, for Scott Riggleman, Josh Matthews, and I, Sam Bella Jr., and Eric Brennan, who's not here.
No, forget him.
Check us out, therpmpodcast.com, on our social media. We thank you for you guys listening. Race locally, support your local racetrack, and we will see you next week on the RPM Podcast. Good night, everybody.
Go to wall.
Go to wall.